How you doing? And welcome back to another edition of Our City. A few things going around the city of Elizabeth this week. On Wednesday, April 18th, around 5:30 in the evening, I'm going to attend the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce's Business After Hours networking event. The Chamber of Commerce does these on a monthly basis, and they really bring together a group of diverse business people in our city to network and chat and talk about each other's strengths. This event will be held at the Dolce Restaurant, 17 Broad Street, right across the street from the Union County Courthouse. And on Friday, April 20th at 12 noon, the grand open and ribbon cutting of La Versidad Bar and Grill, located at 14 Gillian Place. On Sunday, April 22nd at 9 o'clock in the morning will be the 4th annual Race for Children event in Warnaco Park. This fundraiser is a 5K with a 2-mile fun walk that benefits the Friends of the Child Advocacy Center of Union County. It's a great event. It's held in conjunction with the City of Elizabeth, the Union County Prosecutor's Office, and numerous sponsors that benefits the Child Advocacy Center, which is located on West Jersey Street in our city. If you need any additional information on these events or any other events, please call our Public Information Office at 908-820-4124. So please stay with us after these messages, where we're going to talk with our special guests about Environmental Day in the City of Elizabeth.
We're creating tomorrow's jobs today. Kean University.
Welcome back to our city, and I would pleased to introduce first Mr. Glenn Lautenbach, who's the project manager with Future City. Glenn, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And also Mr. Sebastian Prado, Rutgers math and physics intern and SHPE New Jersey chapter leader. Sebastian, welcome back. You've been on the show too many times to count, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Got a haircut for today's show. Yeah, welcome back. And of course, Dr. Craig Donovan of Future City Incorporated, and also here at Kean University. Dr. Donovan, thank you for taking the time
Always a
out of your schedule. I appreciate it. So on Friday, April 27th, Future City and the Arthur Kill Watershed Association have planned another exciting environmental day in Elizabeth. So before we begin, why don't we start, Dr. Donovan, you've been involved in Future City from the very beginning, I believe. And
Correct.
You teach these issues here at Kean University.
Yes.
Maybe you can share a little bit with our viewers once again about some of your background.
I am the chair of the Public Administration Department here at Kean.
So you're technically my boss then, right, as an adjunct?
As an adjunct professor, yes. I'm technically his boss, so if any complaints, let me know. We provide undergraduate and graduate education for individuals who are looking at careers in nonprofit or in government, including in the fields of environmental and environmental management. So we help to prepare people to preserve our environment and to manage the organizations that are responsible for keeping our air and water clean.
And Glenn, you've been active with Future City from the very beginning, I think. Beginning of your 18.
Yes.
Yeah, he started when he was about this high.
But it's been a passion for you and Sebastian. So,
Yes.
So where are you at now? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
So yes, I'm a board member and a project manager at Future City. I'm also going to Rutgers currently. I'm a graduate student earning my degree in urban environmental analysis.
And is that an undergraduate degree you're working on now, or a graduate degree?
That is a master's degree.
You're working on a master's
Yes.
degree. What's your undergraduate degree in, Glenn?
Biotechnology.
Oh, it's totally
Yes.
out of my league, by the way. But congratulations for
Thank
your
you.
ability to grasp that knowledge. I think it's terrific. And Sebastian, you're like a regular on this show. So you really fell into Future City as well at a young age. Tell us about yourself and how's it going at Rutgers?
Yeah, so I started at Future City when I was in high school, and then I continue with them now that I'm in college. I attend Rutgers University, and I'm doing a double major of math and physics. And now I'm the CHEP leader for the high school students.
What does SHPE stand for?
CHEP stands for Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. It's a society that is in the entire nation and tries to raise awareness that Hispanic members and also all the minorities can become successful in the STEM majors.
So did you have to win an election for that, or you kind of?
And I'm just the leader of the Future City chapter of our high schools.
Okay, of the high schools.
Of the high schools in Elizabeth, yeah.
Get to interact with other students on a
Yes,
regular
and work
basis.
with regarding different projects. So it's fun to work and teach them some skills.
So, Dr. Donovan, as a watershed trustee, tell us about Future City, the Elizabeth River Arthur Kill, and Environmental Day 2018. Tell us how it all mixes together.
Sure. Well, a little over 20 years ago, a group of very concerned citizens, one of them was me, got together to create Future City. The idea was that we needed a local entity, a nonprofit, which would focus on creating and maintaining sustainable environments here in the Elizabeth area, and also to educate the public about what was so important about and how to maintain clean air, clean water. So Future City started 21 years ago, and we included in that the, as you say, the Elizabeth River Arthur Kill Watershed Association, which is specifically focused on the Arthur Kill area, because water is such an essential component to the city of Elizabeth. Many people drive up and down the roads and the freeways, and they forget it's on the water, and that its history is on the water, and that the quality of the water has a fundamental effect on the quality of life here in the city. So we also have the association which works to preserve and maintain the quality of the water, and to help make sure that the citizens understand how to maintain that and what some of the concerns are. In times past, the water was much more polluted than it is now, and there's still some issues about, for example, fishing or crabbing and eating the food and so on. So we want to make sure that everybody here knows how to keep the water clean and how to keep safe.
And years past, Doc, they used to swim off that pier there.
Oh,
You've heard those stories, I'm
yes,
sure.
absolutely, absolutely. And then one of the things that we started was the working was on the Environmental Day. And so each year we have a day where the high school students in particular can come together and learn about environment and environmental management, and that's held this year at the Peterstown Center.
So Glenn, were you a high school student, and Dr. Donovan talks about this in 20 years ago, were you a high school student that drew you to Future City, and what was the reason for that, and what's planned for Environmental Day this year?
I started at Future City actually freshman year of college. Coming right in, I was.
Where's your
introduced-
hometown, Glenn?
Roselle Park.
Oh, so you're right next door.
Right
Okay.
next door, yeah. I was introduced through Kane University to Future City.
So Dr. Donovan introduced you? Is that how that's-
Not Dr. Donovan, through a different department. but
Really?
Yes. So Environmental Day, it's going to be April 27th. We're going to have 11 different high schools and schools from Elizabeth, students coming to sort of go to different workshops we have set up. We'll have different presenters, including the Army Corps of Engineers, the Coast Guard, New York, New Jersey Baykeeper. We have people from Rutgers University. We have a presentation from the city on the CSOs. And we have presentations from some of the students from Edison and Dwyer. They're going to be presenting some of the things they've learned. So
So Glenn, what as a young guy, you know, you're still young, but as a really young guy, when you hit, you know, Rutgers for the first time, or Kane, what drew you? What made you say, hey, that might be something I want? You're still involved. It's
Yeah.
tough to keep young people involved, and you still are. So what was the draw?
I think it's really good to be able to help both the environment. It affects everyone, so helping in that way, and just seeing the effect and being able to teach the students and residents these issues, I felt was very important and a good thing to do.
Good. And Sebastian, same thing, same question to you. You got in early on this issue. What made you get attracted to it? And so therefore, and you can work into why Environmental Day is important for its partners and the students participating.
What attracted me to FCI and I stayed there for all this time is that I get the chance to learn something for myself, but also help the community. For example, during this Environmental Day, we have the opportunity to share with the students all the knowledge that we have and our partners have, and that knowledge can help them to understand why our environment is important for our city and why it's important to take care of them and try to keep it as healthy and preserved for the future.
So you and Glenn started about the same time, right? Or Glenn, were you here a couple years ahead of him?
Maybe a couple years, but
Yeah.
we've both been here for a while.
That's pretty good. So Dr. Donovan, what do you think the students should get out of this? I mean, it's tough to measure it. So how do you think the students get out of this experience?
Well, nobody grows up thinking about the world around them. We just live in it. We take it for granted. We turn on the tap, clean water comes out. So for the students, it's really necessary to help educate them to understand how complex it is to keep our environment clean, how important it is, what all the parts are in this, and what roles they play as citizens so that they can educate not only themselves but their parents and other people who don't have the exposure that we've got, and so that they can grow up to be good stewards. When you and I grew up, it wasn't something that we were taught much about, it wasn't something that was talked much about, and that's maybe one of the reasons that it got as bad as it did. And we want to make sure that the students learn how much better it is today and what they need to do to make it even better in the future.
So tell us about the Clean Water event and your efforts and the role of this at that event. And do people like talk about Flint, Michigan, sort of say, and can that happen here, things like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're tied in through the concept of the STEM concept, the science, technology, and so on. And we want people to understand what this looks like in the real world. Flint, Michigan, it's 3 years down the road. They still don't have clean water in Flint, Michigan. And there have been worse things. I mean, you're old enough to remember there was a river in Ohio that caught fire.
Cuyahoga River.
The Cuyahoga River.
And you're just pointing out my age now.
Well, mine too. Mine too. It was so polluted with so much oil and waste that it literally caught fire and burned. That's how bad it got. So, our role is to showcase the good, educate what it takes to stay good, and to make sure that people understand that without them, this doesn't happen. I mean, government can only do so much. It takes the people and the will of the people supporting those efforts and implementing them in their own personal lives that makes all the difference.
So Glenn, Dr. Donovan said something about educating parents and adults.
Yes.
Do you see that happening? And Sebastian, too, do you see that happening maybe in your own immediate family, but as well as adults in other areas? Because that's a really good point you raised.
Yeah, so that's sort of what we want to happen through our environmental and estuary days, is those students are able to learn and take that information and then reach out to people that are in their family and in their community. And it's a way to sort of spread that information even farther out.
So Glenn, do you have conversations with other older folks, and do they get it or do they get bored? Combination?
Yeah, maybe a combination. We try and present it as interesting as possible.
Yeah. Sebastian, what do you think of that question?
Some of the meetings that we have with the parents of the kids that are in our programs, they always seem interested that their kids are learning, but they also try to ask questions on how they can also help our environment.
So you see that working in the benefit of not only the young people, but the parents as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a couple of commercials. Stay with us. We're going to come back and talk more about Future City's efforts and the environment. Please stay with us after these messages. We'll be back with more about Future City.
We're an American original. Dependable, historic, nuanced, with all the comforts of home, even when you're just visiting. So we're celebrating for all that we've left untouched and all that we've changed. A place where the past meets the future. So consider this your invitation.
We've been celebrating here in Elizabeth for 350 years, and we're just getting started. Welcome back to our city. One of the things we were talking about during the break is, Sebastian, how do you think the work that you do impacts the community as a whole, even past an educational standpoint?
So we have, for the past year, we have worked with NJIT in a program called Alternative Spring Break, where college and high school students come for the spring break and try to find something about the city. For example, this year, it was about vocabulary around the city. So we looked at the condition of the sidewalks, if there was trash cans around the area that we were looking at. So that project is a continuous project that Glenn is leading. It's in a partnership with Rutgers. But we want to continue with the project and see if we can come up with a solution of the problems of walkability, because walkability is an issue for their health, because it's an easy way to do exercise and keep healthy. But if the environment that the residents of the Elizabeth are walking is not secure or is not in right conditions, they won't get the exercise that they will get from walking.
Yeah, because I remember coming over there for the students on spring break. We replaced the stop sign.
Yep.
On the one area on William Street. I think we're working on the garbage cans, and some of the sidewalks have to be addressed in this when the weather changes.
Yep.
But it was good for me to see young people from all different walks of life come and spend their spring break doing these projects. And I guess you two guys help coordinate that, right?
Yes, we were both working on putting that project together for the spring break.
So Dr. Donovan, you've been involved from the beginning of 20 years. Have you seen Future City evolve more towards clean water, or more towards the estuary, more towards Environmental Day? How has Future City evolved under your direction?
Well, I think one of the things you'll see is that we've been able to grow and expand. And that's the real key, is trying to make sure that good, better, best, every year is a little better than the one before, that we reach more people, that we expand the scope of what we're doing. For example, the concept that we now call STEM, science, technology, engineering, and management, really didn't exist when we started. There certainly were those disciplines, but the idea of putting them together in what they call a STEM education center, like we have here at Kane University, is something that's only really come out in the last 10, 12 years. So, we've tried to make sure that we stay on the cutting edge of the efforts to educate the people and the students, and to inspire them. I mean, one of the real goals for us is to inspire people, young people, to consider a career in government, environmental management, in sciences and technologies, so that they can play a critical role in working in these areas and making things better. And also what they can do as individual citizens.
Yeah, it's good. And Glenn, other programs that you see on the horizon for Future City, Dr. Donovan talked about the evolving nature of Future City. How do you think it keeps going further?
We keep trying to look into new ways to look in the city, look in our sustainability issues. One way right now that Sebastian mentioned a little earlier is our Walking in Elizabeth project. That was the one that tied into our spring break presentation.
I'm really big on these projects, by the
Yeah.
way. I like to see the final reports and how the city can play a role in fixing some of the things, but I didn't mean it. Go ahead, keep going.
It's a project that we have funded by the State Department of Health and the New Jersey Healthy Communities Network. We're working with Rutgers University, and we're looking at a community inside of Elizabeth. In this case, it's Catherine Williams Street area, right near City Hall, and we're having students, and we're using mapping analysis to sort of find these problems that a lot of what Sebastian mentioned, looking at walkability, physical activity, and healthy eating for residents of that neighborhood.
So not only does it involve from the estuaries, it involves in a better environment in that neighborhood as well.
Right.
Through your work. The buzzword question is, why is Environmental Day important? It's important to all of you because you play a role in it. How do we convince more people to get involved? And Dr. Donovan, I think I'm going to start with you because you said the program's growing. Yeah, so why is it important?
Well, it's important because we all share one planet. Every year there's more of us sharing that planet. And every year there are new inventions that come on the marketplace that often have significant impacts on the environment that aren't thought about. I mean, there was no such thing as a plastic bag or a bottle of water, a plastic water bottle when we were growing up. And yet today they are not only everywhere, they are the single largest source of pollution on this planet. There's a garbage pile out in the ocean about the size of Rhode Island right now, of floating garbage, and it's almost all these plastics that we use and throw away. Again, something that really wasn't even around 20 years ago. So we've got to be ever vigilant about what we're doing and looking at things that are coming down the horizon and saying, we need to change that. I think you see one of the things today is people starting to realize that those plastic water bottles, maybe they're a little on the convenient side, but they're really bad for the environment. And so people are starting to switch to a reusable container, essentially what we used to call a thermos bottle, and that they would put clean water in that, carry it, reuse it, rather than a plastic bottle they drink from once and throw away and ends up in the water stream and eventually in the oceans.
My wife's got one of those thermos bottles. We're using that more and more.
Absolutely. No, that's the kind of little thing that nobody thinks about when these things first come out, but through the kinds of programs that we're doing, through these kind of environmental day, we can make people aware of why, yes, we want you to drink lots of good, fresh, healthy water, but why drinking it out of those plastic bottles may not be the best way to do that, either for yourself or for your environment.
So Glenn, Future City had taken a very patient and long view of sustainability.
Yes.
Why do you think it's a patient and a long view? It can't happen all at once, or what's your thought process?
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. When you're looking at making changes that are sustainably and environmentally well, you're looking at something that might be generations long, and that's a lot of why we look at teaching the students, so they're able to sort of take that information and become stewards for their environment going forward, and it's able to last for years and having that environmentally healthy mindset.
Sebastian, you think that's one of the reasons you got involved in working with the residents, the long view as the local impact on Environmental Day?
Yes, because as an immigrant, and since most of a lot of the population of Elizabeth is immigrant, I think it's important to teach them as how to take care of this new environment that we live in, because there's different type of rules and different ways that we have to follow so we can respect the environment and keep it clean.
And Dr. Donovan, the government's involvement, you mentioned the water, the size of Rhode Island's become a dump with plastic contamination. How does the government how could they get more involved and affect local residents in regard to environmental policies?
Well, I think we mentioned the plastic bags. I think you're starting to see now that some cities, some states, Hawaii started this, I believe, have basically banned the plastic shopping bag to return people to either a reusable cloth bag or the paper bags, which are fully recyclable. They break down, they're gone from the environment, or can be reused. So there are a lot of little policy things that government can do with the support of the population, which can make huge impacts on our environment. It's the amount of waste that you would cut down on, the amount of pollution that you would cut down on, if we all got rid of these disposable plastics in our society, packaging, water bottles, bags, would be a tremendous impact.
It's interesting you say, in 1985, when I was on the city council, which is now 33 years ago, I moved an ordinance banning the plastic bags in supermarkets or having people charge. It never passed the city council because the lobbyist for the plastics industry was phenomenal on coming down on the Elizabeth City Council that time, and it never got passed. And now you bring bags into the ShopRite or something in order to pack your goods up. But I was also trying to ban the styrofoam cups out of McDonald's and things.
Another great example.
I got killed by the McDonald's people in 1985, but now they're banned. Now they're paper cups, which is interesting.
It's taken far too many decades and they're doing it because the people are insisting it. The people are saying, we don't want these kind of polluting things if there are good alternatives, and there are. And so now they put pressure on the businesses, they put pressure on governments. And so instead of you trying to lead the way, the people are coming and saying, we want you to make sure to get those bags out of our town. And because we recognize it's not just a matter of it's cheaper or it's more convenient, but they're so harmful and there's so much better alternatives. So we're catching up, and that's one of these progressive things. And of course, we don't know today what the big issue might be 35 years from now. I hope in 35 years from now, we won't still be talking about plastic bags anymore.
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to go to these two young guys. I mean, when I tried to do that 33 years ago and got beat up, it's through an education process, like Dr. Donovan said, that styrofoam cups are gone from the coffee counters. It's now paper cups. What do you think? You think your efforts will have that type of impact years to come? Glenn?
Yeah, we're hoping definitely. We actually, Future City attended a regional meeting looking at getting rid of some of this trash and plastic out of our waterways. And a lot of the things that brought up were, well, you mentioned the styrofoam cups, plastic bags, even drinking straws, things that just end up getting collected and end up in the ocean, like Greg mentioned before. So we're hoping that eventually most of these things can get cycled out and we can go to more recyclable or sustainable activities.
Never thought of drinking straws.
Drinking straws and those little plastic stirring sticks.
Right.
You know, next time you go in, tell them you want a wood stirring stick and you want a paper straw.
But a wood stirring stick cuts down trees, right? So.
Well, but trees grow back again. We can replant those trees.
Yeah. Those plastic things are just tough. So, each of you have been involved with environmental issues for many years. Do you think it's a passion, or do you think it's an educational issue with all of you? Because especially the young guys, I mean, for you to start this at 17 and 18 years old and continue it into your 20s, I think it's phenomenal. So is it a passion, or is it still your ability to learn?
I think it's a responsibility that each of us should have of take care of the environment and find ways, for example, to not use straws, to carry your refillable water bottle, things like that that you can do daily, and it's our responsibility to find information on how we can do those things and reduce our impact on.
Glenn?
Yeah, I think for myself it was something I found passion in and was able to wanting to continue with this. But I think these small changes you have to make is definitely a responsibility to our environment and to the planet.
So that's why it's a long-term process.
Right.
And Dr. Donovan, you're hopeful in 35 years that the debate changes?
I hope so. I see it evolving. I mean, I was a student when they had the first Earth Day, and that kind of was the thing that sort of started to kindle my passion. And so all we're doing is paying it forward to the next generation.
I want to thank the three of you for taking time out of your schedule to join me on this TV show and educate the residents of the City of Elizabeth and the surrounding region. Look forward to seeing you on Environmental Day, and thank you for all of your efforts.
Thank you for your help and support.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank Mr. Glenn Lautenbach, Mr. Sebastian Prado, and of course Dr. Craig Donovan of Kean University for their efforts with Future City and our environment. And I'm Chris Bolwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.
We have some of the finest teachers in the country. And then they graduate. Kean University.